Hello and welcome back, my curious friends. Some of you might have noticed that the lives of the British royalty have been resembling a never-ending soap opera more and more recently. Accusation after accusation, gossip after gossip, and countless numbers of rumors that are constantly going around that it's just so hard to keep up. Such as the US didn't want them because they weren't going to be spending taxpayer money on some foreign royalty, or did Harry end up in the hospital due to stress related to the constant criticism of his wife and the decision to abandon his royal duties. And well, since we're already talking about the decision, what is the nature of the contract of the former Duke and Duchess signed with Netflix? What debts did they manage to pay off with the sum? And does their future include television in it? Stay with me to find out, but before we continue, make sure you hit the notification and the subscription buttons to stay up to date with our videos. In order to talk about the present and all the benefits that Meghan and Harry have gained from leaving England, it is first necessary to remember what events led them to make that controversial decision that not only shocked their family, but everyone around the world. It all started on May 19th of 2018. Yep, sadly just after they got married. Even though their marriage was still quite premature, they had already gone through a lot of situations and have created controversy more than once. And as many of you know all too well, many of their actions have not only made the hair of the British royalty's followers stand on end, but also those of the royal family itself. Harry and Meghan met through some mutual friends, and the attraction was almost immediate, so much that they got engaged on November 27th of 2017. Later on, May 19th, 2018 at noon in St. George's Chapel in Windsor, they told each other their long-awaited I do's. And if you want to know more information about their early relationship, then be sure to check out our previous video by clicking on the link above. But the truth is the sacrifices Meghan had to make for the man she had fallen so deeply in love with had started much earlier. I say this because in order to become the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan first had to quit her job and give up the Suits series where she played one of the main roles. She also had to move from Toronto where they were shooting, as well as LA where she was from, and make London her new permanent location. But that wasn't all. She also had to suspend the advertising contract she had with one of the biggest Canadian clothing companies and also delete her Instagram account as well. In other words, she had to say goodbye to her career that she had worked hard to create. But if you thought that their sacrifices had only been in personal matters, I can tell you that it was not so. Meghan also had to enter cooperation with charities such as the UN, World Vision Canada, or One Young World. Those closest to her claim that this was actually the most painful of all things she had to do. But at least she had her Prince Charming and his fairy tale family, right? And speaking of a beautiful family that Meghan had dreamt of, as I'm sure you all know, on May 6th of 2019, almost a year after the couple became husband and wife, their precious treasure, little Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, came to complete the beautiful scenery. But just when it seemed that their happiness was endless, the truth that was behind that happy facade was that there was much more tragic reality. However, it took some time before we learned that Harry and Meghan had ceased to be high-ranking members of the royal family due mainly to the criticism and the smear campaign against the American actress. This happened after that famous interview for ITV during a trip to South Africa when Harry himself issued a statement in which he wrote that he had already lost his mother and that he would not allow for the same thing to happen to his wife, who by the way was already suffering from mental health problems. And speaking of the American actress's health, in an attempt to protect her privacy, she also spoke on that subject during the same trip. It was also on that trip that 4-month-old Archie made his long-awaited debut in front of the cameras. But not to make the story any longer, after a brief passage through Canada, the former Dukes of Sussex finally sought to settle in the formerly called Land of Opportunity. It seems that they did not have the best reception with the news of their arrival. And no, I'm not saying this because of what the leader of the United States supposedly said. Oh, and what he did say? Well, it turns out that when we learned about their decision to put down their roots in the US, he advised them to find something useful to do because the American state was not willing to support them simply because of their background. Oh, as well as straight up tweeting it out to the world that they would not be assisting them with costs for their security. But as I was saying, that was not the only reason why their northern neighbors have not received the former Sussexes with a lot of hype. On top of that, according to what was published by New Idea magazine, Meghan and Harry's neighbors had to call the police on an occasion due to the noise caused by an explosive fight that the couple had. And if you want to know just what happened, then you can do so by clicking on the link displayed above. And it seems that the young couple followed the instructions of their new leader, since a few days ago we learned that they had signed a $1 million contract with the streaming giant Netflix. The aim of this was to produce some series, documentaries, films, and even children's shows. According to information from the New York Times, the contract signed is for several years, so the project is too ambitious, and according to what Meghan and Harry themselves said, they will always seek to produce quality content that informs and gives hope to the viewers. Some of the news that they included in the official statement was that their lives, both as a couple and private, had allowed them to understand the power of the human spirit, to understand its courage, resilience, and the need to connect with other people. They also added that through work with diverse communities and their environment, they want to bring light to people and causes throughout the world, and their focus is to create content that informs but also gives hope. But they weren't the only ones talking about this new opportunity that was on their doorstep. The president of the streaming platform Netflix, Reed Hastings, said that he was deeply proud to be able to collaborate with the former Dukes of Sussex, and further he said that he was more than convinced that this partnership would be simply epic. If you think I'm exaggerating the praise from the company, I'm not. So just to give you an idea, Netflix is the leading entertainment system on the planet with a presence in 190 countries and has 193 million subscribers who pay monthly for the service. Meghan and Harry decided to get a good job, right, Curious? Are you as intrigued as I am about what they're going to produce? Well, according to the news given by the Deadline page, there are already several proposals and even some projects already in development. One of them is a documentary series that has to do with the importance of caring for nature and female empowerment. Well, that would be in line with Meghan and Harry's words of educating as well as inspiring. Although now that we mention it, these collaborations are not entirely new to them, as Markle had previously partnered with Disney to narrate the Elephant documentary, simply titled Elephant. For his part at the moment, Harry has participated in the series Rising Phoenix, History of the Paralympic Games, one of the causes he has been supporting for some time now. And speaking of the latter, it seems that the millionaire agreement did not benefit the Paralympic cause much, though it did benefit the couple. Let me explain. It turns out that according to several sources, the contract they signed is equivalent to $150 million, so that the former Dukes of Sussex were able to pay the debts they had left behind before leaving the British Isles. And according to an official statement issued by the spokesperson for the couple, Meghan and Harry had returned some $3.6 million that they had borrowed to give their humble house Frogmore Cottage located in Windsor Castle a makeover. Yeah, hey, I mean, as old as those properties are, it sure was full of leaks and moisture. Yeah, that was sarcasm for those of you who didn't quite catch on. But we already know this agreement will get them out of debt, hardship, and misery that only us humble people like Meghan and Harry have to endure. But what about the Paralympic cause? Well, it turns out that the youngest of Diana's children, from 2014 until now, had maintained a very close relationship with the Invictus Games Foundation. In fact, so good that it was he who came up with the idea of having these kinds of competitions between high-performance athletes with disabilities in order to raise enough funds to support them. Though between the cancellation of a lot of events due to the global COVID-19 pandemic, also the Paralympics that were scheduled for next year had to be cancelled. And yes, that added to the signing of this new contract with Netflix, directly or indirectly affected the relationship, so Meghan and Harry decided to end it. Well, they say that in life you have to give priority to your interests. But why don't you tell me what you think, Curious? Do you think that the new contract Meghan and Harry signed was the best decision they've made since they left the UK? What kind of series and productions do you think we can expect from them now that they've signed with Netflix? Will you be watching them? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.